Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name's Teri, and I'm here with Dr. Gail and our good friend, Gail Lynn. So, Gail, welcome back again. We're so happy to have you here. Everybody, today, this is going to be about healing and talking to Gail. So, if you're putting things in about healings, that's going to be next month on the Solaris Healing Center. So right now we're going to introduce Gail Lynn. She's been on before. She was an automotive engineer, worked in Hollywood on films, is the inventor of the harmonic egg, which I've been to twice now. And I love, love, love. So, which is another engineering feat with synergy and healing. And she's also a sovereign healer. So, welcome back, Gail Lynn.
Thank you for having me again. You guys, I have so much fun in these conversations. It's so fun to not really prepare, but just to have this great, fun conversation with you guys. And yes, I've been in engineering, telecom, Hollywood. The automotive was the engineering. And then now, like health and wellness. Who knows what I'm going to do next? I'm almost
Oh, we know what you're doing next.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So, yeah, for the people who don't know how you transferred from engineering to creating this harmonic egg, can you give a little brief history of how you ended up there?
Oh, for sure. My father was in automotive, and I grew up in the Detroit area. And my dad always told me, just be a good little girl and work in automotive, and you can work there for 30 years, do the same thing every day, and get a pension and retire and just have this blissful life. And I thought, that doesn't sound like fun. And so my brother took that path. And I, my brother and I have had a lot of differences because I said, you have one skill. Like it's working on the assembly line. And that went away. And so he reinvented himself and said, okay, I'm going to learn how to repair the robots on the assembly line. So that's what he does and has been doing. He's been with Ford Motor Company for 30 years now. He's got, his pension, his retirement. He's all set. And he just rides a little bicycle around the plant all day waiting for a robot to break. We have to reinvent ourselves. So I went from automotive thinking, this is not changing the world. I want to change the world. So I moved to Texas to be in telecommunications. I'm really good at organization. I'm really good at project management. I'm really good at operations, managing budgets. My mom taught me how to balance a checkbook when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And so I'm really good with that. So I get into telecom. It's a completely different language. They literally have a dictionary called the Telecom Dictionary for all the different acronyms in telecom. You wouldn't even believe it. The NPA and NXX on your telephone, that's like your area code and the first 3 digits. DSL, VoIP. There's so many different, it's like this thick book of, I'm like, I have to learn another language now. And I went from the tangible, I can feel it, I can touch it, I can see the switches, we're building cars, to it's in the cloud. I'm like, what is the cloud? How you call somebody and then the phone rings. There's nothing tangible about it. So I love that the universe was building me up for what I'm doing now. And it was just so fun. And I said, this isn't changing the world. I ended up going to California to work in Hollywood thinking, oh, well, I can change the world through film. Oh, well, that industry just did not resonate with me at all. So I said, I'm not going to do this. And after 7 years in Hollywood and almost suffering a nervous breakdown, the universe said, now you're going to be in health and wellness and you're going to help people to heal. And I was like, no, I'm good at this stuff. This is good. This corporate stuff, I'm really good at it. And the universe won. I lost. Scorpio, like stellium and Scorpio. So I'm very stubborn. And I kept saying no until the universe basically stripped me naked and said, I lost my dog, I lost my job, I lost my house, I had to file bankruptcy. Then I said, okay, I have no identity anymore. I'm completely naked. And I guess I'll just do this because there's nothing else to do. And I said, if I could just play that like a country song, play it backwards, can I get my dog back, my house back, my job back? But no, that was not happening. And I love that this decision, I didn't really make it. It made itself for me. It's been the best decision of my life. And I, we're coming into a place now where we have to have spiritual hygiene, which includes physical hygiene, emotional hygiene, financial hygiene, career hygiene. We have AI taking over a lot of jobs and people are freaking out. But just like my brother who reinvented himself to be able to shift with the industry, we have to do that. I have a police officer, first responder friend who he no longer likes the industry because the criminals have all the rights and the police officers are getting in trouble for doing their jobs. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. So he's learning music composition and he's becoming a musician. Great. I have a farmer in my town who is shooting off cannons, literally air cannons, every 10 to 30 seconds to protect his crops. Yes, great. I love farmers. There are 50 alternatives that are more silent, but he doesn't want to reinvent himself. He doesn't want to change, but there's now neighborhoods of thousands of people being disrupted in their nervous system from these cannons going off, and they're exempt as farming equipment from noise restrictions and time. So we have to grow up. We have to reinvent ourselves. And I feel like a lot of us are stuck in this childhood of, I'm entitled to this. You know what? You're not entitled to anything. We have to find ways to reinvent ourselves. And these people losing their jobs over AI, what are they doing? How are they reinventing themselves?
Yeah. So resilience is something like when they look at the blue zones, they talk about that. Often these people are very, very resilient. If you're not raised with that, how do you go about getting that or walking into that? Because I feel like you walk through dimensions, like looking at your past, your vocations, and moving and moving and moving. So resilient.
Yes, I want to teach people that because I wasn't born with a silver spoon or a gold spoon or a platinum spoon or a titanium spoon in my mouth.
Or any spoon.
Right. I mean, we were dirt poor. I was wearing my mom's friends' kids' hand-me-downs and getting harassed because they're like, ha ha, that was my shirt. Those were my pants. And I'm like, well, like, we can't. So I started working when I was 14 because I wanted some new clothes. I was making $2 an hour at a donut shop. And it was under the table, right? You remember those days? You could make money under the table. I was 14. My mom was a trooper. She would get up at 4:00 in the morning to drive me to the donut shop so I could serve donuts to the construction workers starting work on the highway because it was right along the highway. And it was amazing. My girlfriend and I, we had so much fun doing it. And I was able to buy like new clothes with my little $2 an hour that I was making.
Yeah.
And so I've basically been working for 42 years now. And I can totally retire, but I'm not because I still want to teach. I still want to help people to find their passion, to find their resilience.
Well, Gail, I wanted to see what the leap was to the egg, that leap that you did to create the harmonic egg and why that happened and what happened to you to make you think, oh, I need to do this.
That's a long story. So let me see if I can tell it in a short way. But I got really sick. And when I was 17 years old, I had my first migraine headache and scared the bejesus out of my mom because I couldn't talk. I couldn't function. She didn't know how to help me. And so I had those until I was around 37 and I found sound and light therapy. And so that kind of got me on this trajectory to say, okay, I laid in this rectangular box and found that the migraines, the next time I got a migraine, it was less intense and it lasted less time, which was huge because these were like 15 hours. Someone puts an ice pick in your head and just moves it around for 15 hours. And literally you just want to blow your brains out. I mean, and so when people say, oh, I'm having a migraine today, if you're talking and you're sitting straight, you're not having a migraine.
I agree. I used to have migraines too. And that's exactly how I would react when somebody say they have a migraine and I'm going, you're talking to me, you're sitting there talking to me. No, you don't have a migraine.
Exactly, because you can't even pronounce the word "the" when you have a migraine, and things are coming, projectiles are coming out this way and the back end way. Everything is a mess. So for me to have a little bit of relief was a miracle, and I thought there's something to the sound and light. But I also had cystic acne. My hair was falling out. I had liver issues. I was on thyroid medicine. I had insomnia. I mean, just a plethora of things. And in my very naive mind, I said, "Oh, I'm 37. I'm getting old. Things are going to fall apart." You hear this, you hear these things. And now I'm 56 and I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. But sound and light therapy is what I believe we all need to be using to heal, to become a sovereign healer. We really don't need to go to the doctors and do all this stuff. Obviously, in an emergency, we have to, but then we have to sit back and say, what is it that my body's telling me? Now, when this whole thing came up with this farmer and I wasn't heard, and I've got community people who are telling me these cannons have been going on for years, and they've called the sheriff's department, they've called the health department, they've called the city, the county, the state. No one's helping. Is one farmer's right to farm something that is take over everybody's right to peaceful enjoyment in their homes? So no, because there are silent alternatives for this farmer that can be implemented. Because I'm all for farming. We're going to the farmers market to support local farmers after we get off this call. We have a winter's farmers market. So what started happening was my right ear got plugged up, and that's your masculine side. So it's like masculine people not hearing me. The city guy, the county attorney, the developer that's leasing the land to this farmer, all men, and it affected my right side of what don't I want to hear? So we need to listen to our bodies, and our bodies are always communicating with us. So through sound and light therapy, I was able to feel the trauma release, all those things. Oh, you were molested by a priest of the parish. Oh, your dad was an alcoholic. You know what? So what? It's a story we create that holds us back from being our true divine self. And so get over it, grow up, get out of that whole thing where, oh, when I was 12, this happened. So you have to act like a 12-year-old with other adults? No, you don't. This sound and light therapy, because we're vibrational beings of light, can help you to release that trauma and grow up, be adults. And so my solution with the farmer is like, I will pay for whatever it's going to take for you to stop using these cannons, to use a silent solution. So I'm supporting my entire community because it's a win-win situation. And so I'm hoping, and this was, I sent the yesterday, I'm hoping that this is going to be accepted instead of the farmer saying, well, wham, 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 I was here first. Well, I'm sorry. That doesn't give you the entitlement to just blast off cannons and disrupt thousands of people and businesses when there's a silent solution. So we're listening to our bodies. We're seeing, how are we reacting? Wow, that was weird. I reacted like a child. When was the last time I felt that way? And go heal that child within from that time when you felt that way. Because it is our responsibility to grow up, cannot keep blaming our parents for everything and our, ancestors, because there is no, I don't think that genetics is a thing. It's epigenetics. It's our lifestyles. My grandma had diabetes from eating Danishes off the assembly line as she worked for Ori Bakery for 30 years.
Oh, yum.
Yeah. Having those Danishes down, we had to laugh all the time. It was funny. She got in trouble quite a bit. And then my mom taught us that sugar was, something you eat after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You always have a dessert. You always have cookies and Danishes.
Yeah, well, they didn't know at that time about sugar.
Yeah. So it wasn't genetic in my family. It was a lifestyle choice. So listening to our bodies, using common sense, critical thinking, and being discerning, and to me, sound and light therapy has been used for 40, 50,000 years or longer because we are vibrational beings of light from source, from God, from whatever word you use. And so it's time for us to grow up, to release that trauma, and to be adults and be kind to each other, not judge each other, agree to disagree, and still be able to hug each other instead of fight. And I think that sound and light therapy has released this trauma to the point where I feel like I'm finally grown up.
Okay, well, what I'm hearing you talk about is, for me, what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is anger, the issues with the anger.
Yeah.
What things that have happened to us and that we're expressing it with anger and fear. And what you're saying is the harmonic egg can do some healing and heal some of those traumatic things that we have had during our past and get rid of that fear and those traumas. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because every emotion is stored in a different organ. So the liver is holding fear. Now, we know that we have an epidemic right now of fatty liver disease.
Mhm.
For people that haven't even had alcohol, they don't drink alcohol, they got cirrhosis and they haven't had a drink. Have you noticed how angry people are right now? Look at the stock market and people's retirements going phew, over some stupidity that somebody opened their mouth and all of a sudden people are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, really? Okay, so we're angry. You're going to feel it and it's going to be stored in the liver. So think about all the anger that we've been going through since COVID. We're just angry and we're angry with each other, but we're directing that anger to the wrong places. Let's direct that anger to change. Let's get out there and change what we don't like. Let's get out there and change these systems. Let's get out there and support each other. We're all in this together. No one's getting out alive. I don't care if you're green or purple or blue or black or white or gray or whatever. We're all in this together. We're all connected.
Okay, so then my question then is, because we do hear this all the time about we need to change, we need to support each other, but nobody gives that help on what that looks like, how to change, what you should be doing, how it's always, this is what we should do, and this is, but nobody ever gives the how we should go about that process, which I find that is even in every world, the political world especially would be the example was, oh, we should do this and we should do this and we should, but then nobody says how or how we do it. And that to me is a big problem with people trying to accomplish things because we don't know the how to. We just know it should be done.
So let's take some also in the chat. Let's have people say, how would you be a better human being? How would you be more kind? The other day we were driving around downtown and we were looking for a parking spot. And I was like, oh my God, there's a spot. And so we wheeled into it. And I was like, you know what? Good for you. You got a spot. We're going to find our own spot. And we drove around the corner and we found a spot. But just being kind, like some people would get out of the car and shoot each other these days. Like, oh my God, you took my spot. Who cares? Drive around a couple more blocks, a couple more minutes, you'll find your spot. But being more kind to each other, being less judgmental, being like, you know what, good for you. And you know, what if that person was handicapped and that's the spot that's going to be less of a effort for them to get to the door? So they got it, and that's how divine right gave it to them. You know, just being more kind, like I'm offering to this farmer, I'm like, here's some alternatives that are silent alternatives. Let me do some research for you. Let me help you. I want to support you as a farmer because you have the right to farm, but I also have the right to peaceful enjoyment in my home. So where do we trade off this? Because you know, there's never going to be a perfect situation. There's always going to be something. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to be on this planet.
Well, I think you did a good example of it. The thing you should do is think first before reacting. Think what the alternatives. Think what maybe that person's going through something else. Think before you react. Yeah. And taking those few seconds just to think will bring your reaction to maybe something that's reasonable.
Yeah, let's put this in the chat, Teri. There's a character called Rampa, Rompa. He is a crocodile, and it was my friend who's now passed away. Um, he had created a business called Crocodiles Not Water Lilies, and he named
Mm.
characters. He had Teg the Eagle for integrity. He had all these different characters. Rampa was the crocodile, and Rampa stood for when you have a situation, you relax for the R. You observe, you manage the situation, you have patience, and you act. Most people go right to act. They don't relax, look at everything, observe the situation, manage the situation, have some patience, and then act. So he named Rampa to help people to do exactly what you said, Gail, is don't go right to act. Let's think about this. Let's think about the situation. Let's think about how maybe this is a lesson for you, a lesson to help you. So yeah, Rampa was the crocodile, and if people always remember Rampa, then they might just think first and act last.
Yes. And here's Patricia talking about her self-care. She says, I have found if I first given myself self-care, eating right, meditate, eat briefly, bubble bath time, being kinder and gentle with myself, and saying no gracefully when it will not work for me. So you're probably right, Patricia. If you're being kinder to yourself and doing self-care, then you tend to be kinder to others. I would agree with that. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, putting myself in the place of the farmer, and like a lot of us, we're doing our hardest to get by at a certain time in our lives. I mean, I feel like everybody's had that moment, right? Where, yeah, every day's a challenge and you're exhausted. The pandemic seems like it reset a lot of that because all of a sudden we had to be forced inside, and then changing the way that we look at things. But that was a gift that you gave him, literally. I mean, a gift of helping him, but also a gift to the neighborhood. And when we help one and we accept that help, if somebody does that, it helps everybody. It
Yeah, I'm
so does.
surprised. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised the macho man accepted the help.
Well, he hasn't been accepted yet. This was
Okay, okay.
I sent the email. Here's all the options. Here's the pricing per acre. Here's how it works. And I went through and I found, things that are used in golf courses because I mean, it's not going to help him to give him something that I can use in my backyard. He's got a lot of acres. So it needs to be something that could be on a large scale. So I did all the research, spent hours and hours to, make sure I found something that, I didn't just throw him something to say, here, use this, and you got to plug it in and make sure you have a cord that's long enough for 79 acres. I was looking for solar powered things that are used at golf courses. Yeah.
Well, I have that. I hand the hat off to you, Gail, because I would have just sat there and tolerated it. How about you, Teri?
Well, we did. Apparently, this has been going on for years. I just moved to the neighborhood. It's been going on for years. I've got emails from people saying that they've called the sheriff's department, they've called the city, they've called the county, they've called the state. I'm now talking to our state senator via text because that's how she communicates. And I've got lobbyist friends that were my old clients from when I had my center. So I called her up. I'm like, we got to get this changed. It can't be a law that says that this is an agricultural piece of equipment that is exempt from all the noise restrictions and all the time of that noise can be made. We're in the 21st century. That was probably a law that was on the books in this county in the 1940s when nobody was there. So it's like, but everybody just says, well, I called and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm like, oh, hell to the no.
I would have been that person. I don't know what to do.
Well, this is a great way to look at creator energy too, right? I mean, literally you're a creator of the harmonic egg and your center that you had and many other things. So now changing our story is so powerful.
Yeah. And you know how hard it was to I guess it was really hard to leave automotive because that's all I knew. From the time I was 18 years old, it was like almost 10 years. And I left everything that I knew. I sold my house and sold everything that I had. And I remember the U-Haul truck driving away and my whole family, my mom, my dad, my grandma, my brother, my sister, all lined up in the street, like waving. You can see it in the rear mirror.
I went through the same thing. When I went from nursing to chiropractic and I had to go out of state to go to school, that's exactly how it was. Me going with the U-Haul and your whole family just waving you goodbye, going, why is she doing this?
Yeah. Nobody else has ever left the state of Michigan. They're still there. And I feel like the black sheep of the family, but I'm like, I love my life. I am like, when I die, it's going to be like sliding into home base, safe. I've done everything that I could possibly do, helped everybody I could possibly help, funding people's dreams and helping. I mean, just doing all this stuff. But it was scary. And I told my mom, like, I'll be back in 6 months. 10 years later, I'm still in Texas. And then I moved to California to be in Hollywood, moved back to Texas, and then I moved to Colorado. My life is I just say yes to life.
Yeah. All three of us have moved all over the place because Teri's been all over the place too, moving.
Yeah, I'm back where I started, but Hawaii and Florida. Lived there for a while, and it's something nice about coming home and the community and whatnot. But now I'm kind of getting wanderlust again, so we'll see what happens.
And you've been kind of searching for the past couple of years now, going,
Yeah.
what's the next adventure? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm watching.
And let's see, we had a good question up here. Let me look at it. I think it's
yeah, the empathy one.
Yes, that's it. It's
Yeah.
Anna. She was saying we are seeing drastic decline in empathy worldwide. Why so?
You guys have a guess? Because I always have an opinion.
Count on Gail for an opinion. Go ahead, because I was just going to say it's because we're creating chaos for change, and we're getting a little decline in empathy over so much chaos. But go ahead, Gail.
Well, I can give my opinion, and it's going to be controversial. So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
It felt like ever since the jab, there was a change in people's empathy, their compassion, and it maybe even wasn't that connection. Maybe it was just COVID, and everybody felt like they had to fear for themselves, and every man and woman for themselves. But it seemed like that all happened, and there was a severe decline of empathy and compassion and kindness right there. And that seems like it was a big decline.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think it affected like our inflammation or?
I think there was some receptors that were turned off. And I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I usually look at facts and science and research.
Yeah.
But I had 20,000 clients, and I saw a lot of people more angry, less empathetic, more like, I got to do this for me. And, and I got to take care of me. And I just noticed it during that time.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
But it also does affect everybody's health, going through the not being as empathetic and not having the people around them that are empathetic. But me being in the medical field so much, and I haven't been, maybe not have been exposed to as much of that, because I've gone from nursing where, of course, we're empathetic, and chiropractic, we're empathetic, taking care of my dad with dementia, empathetic. So I've actually been probably more exposed to the empathetic world, and I probably have not seen as much of a shift that in the medical field as probably outside the medical field.
Okay. Well, there's a lot more mystery illnesses too, and I think that we had talked about this whole medical error on our last show. This came up yesterday, Gail. I forgot until you said the medical thing. I want to bring this up. So this lady, she posts on Facebook her swollen foot, and she says, "Does anybody know what this is?" So she got like 136 comments, from people saying, "Well, maybe this and that." It looked to me like a side effect of a medicine, because my boyfriend was on that blood pressure med, and as soon as he went on that, his ankles swelled up, and that's what it looked like. So this just blew my mind. 5.5 hours, because people said, go to the ER. You got to go to the ER. You got to go to the doctor. 5.5 hours at the ER today for the foot issue. I have, unfortunately, 2 ER doctors could not determine what was wrong. They gave me 2 different pain meds at the ER through an IV. That did decrease the pain. Additionally, they did send me home with Celebrex, prednisolone, and I didn't say that right, oxycodone, and a cream and a topical ointment. And in case I overdose on the oxycodone, they gave me Narcan. Okay, what? They don't know what's going on, and they just threw all this at this body with a swollen foot.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's all still alive today, but that was yesterday. What the what is going on?
All right. So, but anyways, so you're talking, well, how do you think the decrease in empathetic is affecting our health? How do you think that is? Because, I mean, I went into talking about the fear with the liver, which I think a lot of people, that's what they've been experiencing. And I'm thinking more so fear is coming out, and maybe that's being shown through being less empathetic. But what's your take on that?
I think that our nervous systems need safety. I think our nervous systems need to feel balanced. And when everybody's angry and people aren't empathetic and you're cutting in line in front of people, you're cutting people off in traffic, it's really hurting our nervous system. So therefore, I believe it's hurting our health by people not being kind, not being empathetic. It doesn't make us in our nervous systems feel safe. It feels like it's every man and woman for themselves. And on the highway, it feels like you're in an obstacle course, fighting for your life because everybody's in a hurry to go somewhere and they all think that they're entitled to be in front of you. And, instead of saying somebody puts their signal on, you don't speed up. Don't be a jackass. Slow down. Learn how to merge. In Colorado, we don't know how to merge. People are getting on the highway at 45 miles an hour. People are doing 70. Everybody's slowing down. Traffic is backed up. I learned how to merge in Michigan. Merging means you better get your ass up to 75 miles an hour and get on that highway and merge with the rest of us. Don't try to get on there at 45. So I think people are all they just don't feel safe, and it's affecting our health. So when you're in fear and you're angry and you don't feel safe, that is a radio station for disease. When you're in love and gratitude, that radio station is just high vibe. Disease doesn't live there. I was dating a guy one time and he was like, hey, I have genital herpes. I just want to let you know. My girlfriend, she's like, you won't get herpes because you stay in a high vibration and herpes is here. I'm like, I'm not taking that chance. So whatever. But yeah, it was just super funny. I was like, she's like, you won't get herpes because you don't live in that vibration. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to take that chance. But when we get in that low vibration, we don't feel safe. People aren't empathetic. People aren't nice to each other. We don't feel like a community, and that compromises our immune system. It compromises our nervous system, and it creates disease.
So I think we need to move towards, we've identified the issues. Let's move towards the resolutions.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Teri.
Oh, I was just going to, Anna had a nice question. She said, is it necessary to detoxify the body with restrictive diets? And I just want to take that another step forward too, Anna, and kind of like, do we need to detox our energy as well, our synergy, when we go out in public?
Yeah, that's a good question. So bubble around yourself. But if you're going out into public and you're angry, people are going to feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel it. I mean, not everybody's going to feel it. The empaths out there, probably most of your audience are empaths. You walk into the grocery store and you see this person, you're like, whoa, that person's having a bad day. Yes. I made the lady at Excel Energy cry the other day because I was like, listen, you guys put a smart meter on my house. No one asked my permission. She's like, we don't have to ask your permission. I'm like, it's on my house. I want to know what the specs are. Oh, we don't give out the specs. I'm like, no, it's on my house. I want the specs. And she's like, well, I don't have that information. And, she just started crying. And I said, I'm so sorry you're having a bad day. I'm just asking a question. Tell me who I can talk to get the specs of this smart meter so I know what it's doing around my house. And I just felt so bad for her. I was like, I am just so sorry. And she's like, I'm really not having a bad day, but my company doesn't give me the information I need to answer all of my questions that I have and I just get frustrated and angry. So we had a nice little dialogue. Just kindness is free. I'm still gonna get my answers to my questions, which I did,
Yeah.
but I wasn't yelling at her or anything. She just got so flustered, and I felt bad. So watching our energy, and then feeling, oh, she's having a bad day, and she's starting to cry. Let me love on her a little bit. Just being aware of our environment and in what we're projecting out too. I come in hot. I mean, I really do. I'm triple stellium and Scorpio. I come in real hot with people. I'm like, this is what I need. I don't have time. Just tell me what the answer is, and I gotta go.
Well, look at Judah. She's saying Donna Eden's energy medicine, blowing out the venom, and then a zip up. I love that. Getting rid of all that negative energy and zipping up and not letting it get to you. I love that.
Is it necessary to detoxify the body with a restrictive diet? I don't think so. I think everything in moderation. I wouldn't tell you to go to Taco Bell every day or, fast food, but once in a while, it's kind of good. It's kind of comfort food. Arby's roast beef sandwich for me is comfort food every other month or so.
Well, so everybody's diet is different. Your body's different. And so what's good for you is not good for the next person. So, but I often think of that too. Do I need to cleanse? Do I need to do this? Do I need to get rid of whatever I ate last night? But yes.
Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's blood type is different. Everybody reacts different to different things. If I'm going to eat a little bit of ice cream, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to do it with love. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm eating this, I'm going to get fat. That's not me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, I'm going to eat this ice cream and I'm going to enjoy the crap out of it because it tastes so good. But just once in a while, I'll have one scoop. It's probably not even, the American scoop is this big. My scoop is this big.
Oh my gosh, I like the American scoop.
Yeah, of course. But I also, ever since menopause, refined sugar is not my friend. So we can eat the rainbow. We can, we should eat the rainbow of colors because every color has a different nutritional value. So, eat something that's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple every day. Deep breathing, just free deep breathing can reset your nervous system. So there's those, take breaks. And then there's that 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, get up or do something, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds, helping your eyes, getting up and doing movement, get off of the computers and screens an hour before bedtime. And your bedtime shouldn't be 2 or 3 in the morning. Be reasonable.
It's supposed to be an hour before bedtime, and don't look at the screens an hour after you get up. Now that one I find hard, but let's congratulate Diana here. Good morning. I've recently received my Holistic Nursing Board certification as a BSN holistic nurse. As an empath, I'm looking into energy healing. I very much appreciate your presentation here. So congratulations. That's a lot. That's a lot. So congratulations for that.
Yeah, I love that. And and welcome to the world of energy healing. It's so fun, and everything is energy. So this is what we should be working on. I also saw something in the chat. COVID also affects the nervous system. I think violent video games have something to do with it also.
Oh, yeah.
100%. I want to comment about that. Kids glorify.
Teri, will you take over the chat here? Because my scroll.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, so kids glorifying and hurting and destroying the enemy, now much easier to take those impulses out. Yes, I have noticed that for years, and it's just so frustrating because I want to watch some, like, Practical Magic is one of my favorite movies, with Sandra Bullock, and those movies aren't on. It's like everything is Mayor of Kingston, Tulsa King, Landman, all like this violent stuff, and it's like, oh my God, can I watch something that is like magical and lovely? And, the girl falls in love with the guy with 2 different colored eyes. That's what I want to watch. But it's not on TV. It's like not what people want to watch. So it's not there to watch because everybody's watching all these violent movies and video games, and killing becomes numb. It's like, oh yeah, killing, it's easy. Just and that's it, and they're dead. That's not how we should be normalizing society.
Right.
Yeah. It does feel like 2015, for some reason, the nation became very polarized, the United States. I don't know about other countries, but I think they did too, because I remember being in the UK at that time and it was the same, and politically. And that really does something to your body. Living in a country that does something like that. And I know our family even was polarized, the cousins, and we'd always been quite close. But that changes the rhythm of your body if you don't feel supported
Yeah.
by your loved ones. It's really a different thing.
Spirit Art by Danielle. You're right. You know what? That's a good point. That it wasn't necessarily the jab, but all the social media being, divisive, and the algorithms, which we had
Yeah.
through while we were all sitting at home scrolling through our phone because we had nothing else to do. Good point. That is a very good point. And humming, yeah. So humming is so good. Humming, toning, using a pitch pipe. It's it's a little circular thing that you can blow into, and you can blow into to hear, look, this is C sharp, this is D. In all of our voices, we should have all of the tones. We should have an A to F sharp to G to E all in our voice. And when we don't, physical ailments can actually come about. And so you can get a pitch pipe and blow into that and do like toning that way too.
Do you have to get? Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Terry. No, go ahead, Terry.
Do you have to get a lot of different pitch pipes, or is there just one?
There's different ones out there, but I usually get the C sharp one, and then it'll have all the different notes with it, and you just dial it, and you put a digital tuner on your phone, and as you're talking, you can look to see what notes and tones are coming up, and be like, wow, I've seen A, I've seen B, I've seen E and D, I haven't seen G at all. So then you can use your pitch pipe and tone to G. What if you're wrong? It's not going to hurt you, right? So
if you're missing a tone, or have you identified missing a tone with an ailment or
Yeah.
an issue? And so that study is out there about those different tones. And you said there's somebody who can listen to you talk and tell you what tones were missing in your voice also, which I think that's fascinating. That would not be my forte because I'm more of a visual person. So that kind of, I would need help in that, I think.
it's so you can see it because it is visual. Once they chart out, they'll ask you a bunch of questions, or there's computer programs that do it now. I don't know how accurate they are because I think that, if a human designs it, there could be human error. So I like when they do it manually and they take a digital tuner and have a conversation with you, and then they're mapping out the tones, and then they chart it out for you, and you can see. I had my tones compared to my boyfriend's tones, and we've been together for 14 plus years. And it was hilarious how, if I was a little bit low, I wasn't missing any tones because I do the egg, and the egg helps replenish your tones. But I was low in my G. And then when you look at his, he was high in G. Like he was offsetting what I was missing, and we were balancing each other. It was so weird. And that was a visual for me that was like, so if you're around, you could be, helping balance them out.
So
Really.
when you correct that tone, does it stay corrected or do you have to continually correct it?
You don't have to continue. When you're in balance and your nervous system is in balance, you shouldn't have to work out and work really hard to stay in shape and be, healthy, because the body can help itself. So when you get knocked out of a tone, it could be because you had a car accident or your parents passed away, accidentally, or something happened as a trauma. It can knock out your tones. So once you replenish them, they'll stay. Sometimes they'll go lower with stresses and traumas. So it's always important to pay attention to your body and listen to your body. You start getting some lung issues and asthma and allergies, look at the tone of E, because the tone of E is associated with the zodiac sign of Leo, the color yellow, and the lungs. If you have some heart conditions, look at the tone of C, because the heart is associated with the root chakra, the tone of C, and the color red. So it's all out there. if you want more information, AniWilliams.com, ANI Williams.com. And she has Sangaya music where you can purchase some of her songs, and it'll be all the different tones that you can listen to. And then she associates them with mantras, and she does harp music and didgeridoo music. She's brilliant. She's one of my mentors. So I think it's fascinating now that you could be missing a tone and it'll associate with a physical ailment.
Is she on your movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, she was amazing. Amazing.
Can you spell that for us so we can put it in the chat for everybody else?
I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay, never mind. She did. Oh, I see it.
Mousy Girl wants to know, aren't there medical conditions that can't be helped because of life contracts?
Probably, Mousy Girl. But can we clear those contracts? Are we here on the earth plane to clear the karma and clear the contracts? I do believe we can. I believe that we can heal from anything. But yes, there are some people that are here and we might see them as sick, but that's their soul contract. They're here to teach people about autism or about, even some people are here to teach about suicide and murder. So what we perceive as an illness or a disease could be something we're here to learn from or teach.
Right.
So that's how.
Yeah, shamanic journeys really help on those things too. That trying to correct some of those things, that look into your past and see what caused it or why it's there. So you froze up there for a minute, Gail. I was like, is she coming back?
Oh, no. Yeah, I got a squirrel. I'm multitasking over here. There's a whole lot going on right here.
But I do think there are some contracts, and I agree with you that it's a lesson learned. I don't know, but some people who develop diseases that they die from, and is their journey then is to have the whole journey of that illness to death could be a contract. So it might not be able to clear that contract because that is your contract, is to experience that disease all the way to death and then going into another experience.
Yeah, no, I think I've had a lot of karmic contracts that I've cleared, and they could have gone differently, but I had to give up on the person. I'm like, okay, like I've come this far with this person. I think I've completed my contract, and there's no point in me continuing to be berated and belittled and abused emotionally, and I got to walk away. And I believe that was my lesson, and that completed the contract.
True. I agree. I agree with that too. Because as healers, we do have to learn from those kind of contracts also, what we can take on. And I think that is a continual lesson. I'm not sure, Teri, have you been able to accomplish that yourself on figuring out those contracts, who's supposed to go through that whole life with that contract and who's not? I haven't been able to do that yet. I'm hoping that one day I can read into that issue itself and go, this is a fulfillment that you're supposed to be able to experience this illness all the way to the end. So you can actually teach people during this illness for others in the future. So there's so much to that in itself, those contracts.
Yeah. I feel like changing, for me, the way I perceive it is changing our stories, witnessing and creating a new story and being resilient with that. And it could be that we're shining our light by fulfilling that contract, or it could be changing our story and fulfilling our contract on something else entirely. Or better yet, they even talk about sometimes that if you fulfilled your contract, then you can have a little vacay. I've heard that said as well, which I kind of like.
But I agree with Gail. There's some people that you can get rid of these contracts, you can change, but then there's that person that you just seem to hit the wall with. So to me, that might mean that their contract is to experience that disease to the end. Whether I do the same thing, I beat myself up on that because I've not accomplished what I wanted to. But then and I know that's how a lot of people look at it, and it's hard to change your your thought process on that might be their contract. So there's a
So
whole lot to learn about that, and a whole lot to figure out. And as healers, as groups of healers, we should get together probably routinely and talk about these things.
yeah,
Well,
I
I had
like that.
a full contract with my mother, and for the until I found sound in light therapy and started to really get into energy medicine, I just figured it was my life is to go through just hating her. She hated me, and that was the way it was going to be. We didn't talk for a couple of years at one point, but I had this healer tell me, you need to put up a picture of your mother and tell the picture you love her every day. I was like, I will throw up. That was going to be no. That's going to be a hard no. And I was in my mid-20s. That's going to be a hard no. And he's like, all right, well, you keep coming back with the same soul and you keep doing it over and over again. So best of luck to you. Keep doing it. And I was like, oh, hell no. I'm like, how do I get rid of her forever? Like, how do I do? He goes, you got to do that. So I put up a picture of her. Every day I told her I love her. The energy started shifting. Things started healing. I couldn't even believe it. I know everything's energy, but I was in my 20s. I didn't believe it. Everything started shifting. She passed away in 2017, and I have an email from her from in 2007 where she says, "You're my best friend," and da 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 da. I will treasure that forever, and it would be an honor to come back and do it with her again because we fixed it. It would be my pleasure to come back and do something with her again. I can't believe we fixed it. I didn't think it was even possible.
Yeah, that's huge. I've got a thing where with several relationships that I just shine light through the back of their heart chakra. And they don't have to take it because it's a free will planet, but I just look at them as a divine being. And that changes how I react to them and consequently usually how they react to you as well. So I love that you did that. I mean, that's
It was
feels
Yeah.
it was so huge. Like I am so grateful. I had to do it with my dad a little bit too, but he was an alcoholic and I didn't understand. And one day I asked him, I said, Dad, why were you an alcoholic? Because he had to quit. And he said, well, I had to do the same job over and over again on the assembly line for 30 years in a row, the same screw every day, the same, bolt, the same this. And he said, I didn't know how to deal with it any differently, but just to drink. And he said, I thought that I was doing a good thing by coming home and drinking when a lot of my other coworkers went to the bar and spent all their money and drank. And I was like, you thought that was a good thing? And we just kind of laughed about it. And he was like, well, I thought I was doing the right thing for my family by coming home and getting drunk instead of, okay. But my dad was a brilliant person. He was a very evolved soul. But when I knew him on this physical plane, he seemed very simple. He couldn't spell. He had a 7th grade education. But now that he's on the other side, I see how much Christ-like he was. And such a kind person. If you slapped him in the face, he'd turn the other cheek, literally. And people saw him as a weak person, but he wasn't. That's just his soul was that evolved and that forgiving. So I was able to forgive him as well. And even when he was 16 or 17, I don't know when he got drafted into Vietnam. And I said, how come you didn't try to avoid the draft? And he said, if I had gone or if I had avoided it, and I knew somebody else went in my place and they died, I couldn't live with myself. And that was him when he was like 16 or 17 thinking that. That's huge for that to think that. He was a really cool dude when he was not, when he finally quit drinking and I could talk to him. Pretty cool. Oh, this on the email for Ani Williams, it's ANI Williams.
got it.
Oh, she's put it in. Teri's on it. She's got it.
Got it.
A little bit.
What other world's problems can we solve in the next 5 minutes?
Well, I was going to talk about my issue of also the forgiving, like you're talking about your mother, is I took care of my dad with dementia for like 8 years, and it was tough. And I have 2 sisters. They did not help very little with that journey with him. And of course, I had anger. I was mad at them the whole time, though 8 years here. I am changing my whole life to help them, and they were not pitching in. So I had a lot of resentment and anger. Even when he passed away, I still was carrying that resentment and anger. Well, I worked with somebody who was a shaman, and which I work with quite often, and she said what I needed to do, call each one of them and tell them that I'm sorry that I didn't allow them to help me. Now, you talk about biting my tongue, and the hardest conversations and the hardest thing to do was to call them and tell them I was sorry that I didn't allow them to help me. That was tough, but it worked. It released that energy. It released that resentment. It made me try to look at it differently. So it did work, but that was probably one of the hardest things I had to do.
Wow. Well, but look how much you've grown from that experience, and then you can teach it. That's why we're here too. Hopefully, I mean, you guys have a great audience, and the chat is blowing up, and we can't cover all the stuff. But hopefully, there's one person out there be like, I didn't even think about doing that, and it's going to change their life just from this one conversation. For us to give an hour of our time can change one person's life. Boom, love it.
Yeah, I say Jules learning to listen. You're going through the same thing right now, Jules. Yes, this is hard. But anyway, that's how I got it. But it was after everything was done. My dad had passed away, and I was still carrying that resentment for my sisters not pitching in and helping and being so standoffish about it.
Yeah, we can't hold on to that. That's the vibration that creates disease.
Yeah.
Lung issues can be holding on to grief. There's somebody that has some lung issues going on in the chat. Can be holding on to grief. And even after somebody passes, you can still fix the relationship. They're still there energetically. Somebody just said my dad's passed. So, you can still fix the relationship. And actually, it's easier to fix when they're on the other side.
Yes. But I was going to say mine did manifest in breast cancer. So mine did manifest into something. So I did have to go back and take care of some of those things.
Yeah, breast cancer is often not nurturing ourselves. So they'll be like, oh, my grandma had breast cancer. My mom had breast cancer. So no, I know I'm going to have breast cancer. But that's because your grandmother taught your mom how to not nurture herself. Your mom taught you how to not nurture yourself, and then breast cancer. And then if you don't nurture yourself and you're just taking care of everybody else, there's not enough left for you. And your body's going to give you a message, and it's going to manifest into something if you don't listen. Because you'll get the whispers, hey, listen, you get a little nudge, and then you get the hammer that slams you into like breast cancer. It's like, okay, I wasn't listening. I got it.
Exactly. I got it. What am I going to do to fix this?
Yeah.
Because I knew I was hovering all that. I knew that, but I didn't know how to fix it. And that was hard to fix. And that's what it required to fix it.
Yep. And we're all on this journey. Like every one of us in the chat and here, you, me, Teri, we're all learning from each other right now. We're all picking up the energy of that healing, that, divine feminine, beautiful energy, the age of Aquarius. We're here now. We're in the future of medicine. It's not the future of medicine is frequency. No, the future is here. We're in this. We're all picking up each other's energies, and we just need to heal one person at a time, but we need to love each other and heal each other.
Right. Well, we're at the end of the show here. My gosh, an hour has passed.
That's crazy.
Yes. So I have to thank you, Gail, for being here again. As always, we're trying to make this a monthly show. So hopefully Gail will be back again next month with us to carry on this conversation that we don't know where it's going to go, but it always goes into trying to uplift and heal people. And Teri, do you have anything to say?
Well, I love that this all came back to sovereignty, I feel like, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have the power. We are the power, the light.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks for your great questions, and thanks for moderators for making this a safe place. And again, thanks, Gail Lynn, for being here. And of course, Teri, always my co-host, or I'm her co-host, whatever, which way it goes. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And we will see you later. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.